Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It's close to 6. Looks like we've got Mr. Colbach here. We'll start with him. We want to welcome everybody to our next starter, well, I guess, we're in our last year. So, highway, we'll let, see when Caleb comes in, I guess, but you start us off, Roger, if you'd like to. Okay.
Good evening, guys. I guess you've all got a copy of this.
Give us 1 second, Roger, real quick. 131. Highway, Public Works.
Good for the time sheet over for people like me, and I appreciate it.
Everybody good to go on that? There you are.
All righty, what we have here is in additional funds from gasoline sales and diesel sales. We've got about $120,000 added to the budget for that, and we're asking for $168,176 out of our fund balance to balance the budget out, like we did last year, sort of like we did last year. Not a lot of big changes in this budget, except the state aid has been added to it in the revenue and in the expenditures. State aid bridges and state aid pay have been added to it. We've got a 2.5% raise included in the employees' salaries and their benefits. And we minus a few things off that help us out. I think we can get by with throughout the budget process. Anybody got any questions? Or?
3 questions. On 131, part-time personnel, you've got a new amount of $36,000. What exactly is that?
That is for the named person already step and run weapons that does inspection work and does the inventory. 2 people. They only work 120 days a year. They work 2 days a week on different days, unless sometimes they get together when they're doing the inventory. We're trying to inventory all the county roads, get the land settlement width and information on it. Check our records to see if they're correct.
Okay. And then my other question is on highway and bridge maintenance on foreman. There's a 24.5% increase in salary on that. Why such a big increase?
On which one?
Highway maintenance under foreman.
Oh, under foreman. That's something that Brad Burt did to straighten out the budget from last year. There's no additional employees or foreman or anything.
If you look at the estimated actual for 18-19, compare that to 19-20 budget, it's a 2.5% increase.
Down on that same highway and material, under part-time work, there's 3 employees there that share that money. They work 120 days a year. These employees work 4 days a week, which is Dean Burchett and Doyle Puckett and Jackie Whitehead. They're all previously employees of the highway department. Well experienced.
Are we moving the laborers? I know there's a decrease. Do we move those other truck drivers' salaries because the increases are offset?
Yes, Brad worked on that to line up with what was done last year.
How about salt, Roger? I saw that one, and of course, it's still at a decrease of 0.86, and we've got a 61.4 budget. Of course, I know we can't determine the weather or anything like that, but
you notice we took $28,600 away from that line item.
Yeah.
The reason we minus that off was is because, well, we finished up filling up our salt bin today, so we cut that down. It's a shot in the dark when it comes to how much snow and ice you're going to need.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm just thinking of kind of a leaner budget, I mean, just a less amount, just, I didn't know if we could shave that off or.
Yeah, we could shave it off a little bit, and then if something happens, switch and increase, we'd have to come back and get something out of balance something. There's always a way to do that, but we might have to ask for more money later on.
Did you go ahead and budget in the amount for, or a guesstimation amount for the Riverview Road project?
No, I did not. That amount, I think, will be so high that we could probably, we're looking at maybe $300,000 to $400,000, possibly more on that project, and we would just about have to use fund balance to project that, put it in the budget.
Is the engineers went up and looked at it, Rod?
Yes, we have an engineering company. I don't know, they've been on the project. I don't know exactly where they're at right now, but yes, they've been up there working on, they're under contract.
That's a mess up there.
Yeah, it's gone down quite a bit more than what it was. It's crossed there's a section of it that's crossed the double yellow line now. That's the reason we blocked it off, because it's cracking, but now some of it's fell off.
So I guess what is the solid amount, is it coming over?
Yeah, the whole, from the river all the way up to where the roadway is, there's portions of it that's pushing out in different places all the way up, and then I guess on top it's falling in. I think there's one picture in there that was taken here recently. It's not sure it works with what it was to start with. We've got pictures showing what way it started, just a few, maybe a foot down, and it keeps going down. That's about 5 foot.
Yeah.
Walter, how many full-time employees do you have?
40 of them.
40?
Should have looked before it come.
And part-time?
We have those 5.
Where do you get on the bridge list as far as bridges, actually? You know those?
What's budgeted here is, I believe, is Battle Branch Road and Freeman, Battle Branch Road and Dennis Colbert is what's budgeted. We do have some that's in engineering that's coming down the track, which is Big Sandy, Freeman Road, the road off of Hampton Creek and on Mountain, got a little bridge on it. And we've got 2 more bridges that's been approved by the state, and we have started the process, and I was going to mention that to the highway committee. Next meeting is Leventhaler and Hodge Branch. That's on Stony Creek.
Is the state still 5% on the bridges?
On the ones that I just mentioned, 100%. Now, on Battle Branch, it's 98.2. We pay 2%, they pay 98%. But most of those bridges are 100% now. Reimbursement, 100% reimbursement.
You put Weddy or raise in there, Roger.
2.5%.
Sale of equipment, exceeded correctly, an increase of 15,000,
That's,
sale exceeded.
right, put that into the revenue, we sell any equipment that's available, and we just may do that. Maybe pick up truck or completely outside after replace. And it's with a toolbox on it, it's a mechanic uses it. And we might, if it works out right, we might call trade-off another, if we can get the price right. But, and then if we do that, then we'll be selling those a trade-off. Hopefully it'll burn a lot more than that if we do that.
As far as administration, how does the overtime pay work on that?
That's,
That you got 3,000 in there?
that's mostly for the two secretaries when they're doing snow and ice and other stuff.
How does that work exactly? It's, I mean, when they're in the office or something like that?
Yeah, they're in the office answering the phone and stuff, when overtime hours, when the guys are out pushing snow or ice or windstorm trees down, that sort of thing.
Just where you got people calling in with problems or something like that?
Yes.
How many secretaries are covered under 71,000?
Two. We used to have them listed as different things, but they threw them back all under secretary and all that.
And I noticed that the increase is very minimal, it's only 2.5%. Is there a reason why it's like 0.1%?
Should be 2.5%.
When you compare the 18-19 actual with the budget, that's where the increase is.
Custodial jumped way up, is that just one where we kind of straighten that out right a little bit? Just to move on, I guess. Anything else for Roger, anybody? You spoke to me this morning about that meeting, or I guess that dinner that's coming up. What date is that again?
The 16th, which is when you have the voting meeting scheduled. I know there's some of the officials, including probably some of the commissioners, that would like to go to that Lincoln Day dinner. I think the mayor's going to go, and a few others here, and it's scheduled at the same night.
Yeah, you mentioned just that no being a conflict, and some people may want to go, and I was going to bring it up to see if we maybe could adjust that, or see if we can come up with something that maybe move that date to accommodate everybody if possible. We might have to talk on that just a little bit.
Not much room there for it to move it. I'm waiting to buy a ticket for it. So
Yeah, I
I'm
understand.
gonna be here if it's not moving for us.
Yeah.
Plan on being.
We'll talk about that, yeah, I guess a little bit later, see if we can try to move that around, we'll let you know as soon as we can. Hopefully, see if we can come up with something, let you want to stick around.
Stick around a little while.
Yeah, anybody else got anything for Mr. Coleman? Roger, we appreciate you.
I'll take it.
Thanks, Roger.
Yeah. Mr. Buckner?
Roger Caldwell has been an excellent superintendent. I guess I've been with him 9 or 8 years, but he's only been, this is his 5th year. But he schedules well, and that's important. He doesn't run down and fix a pothole when he could wait a day or two and do several things in that direction. We've added, his bridge program is the best program since 1985 when you headed up the bridge building project. We've built 6. But since that time, we've done very little with bridges. Over half the bridges are deficient at this moment. And deficient means a lot of things in the criteria, whether it's got guardrails along the side of it, but they've added a category. And I think it's good that they've added a category. Has that bridge been topped with floodwater in the past so-and-so? And we've had bridges topped on Buffalo Creek, especially there on Warrior Lane, that never had been even close to being topped before. But what Roger's doing now is raising the bridges X number of feet based on rainfall tables. And some of you that study rainfall tables realize that there's such thing as a flood event. So much rain within so much period of time is going to give you so much volume of water. And he has raised the bridges in anticipation of 50-year floods. Maybe he should go to 100-year floods, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have one flood every 50 years. You could have one every year for 50 years. But that's your rainfall tables. That's an interesting study. And like everything else, nothing's simple. I just came from Riverview and ran into an engineer that was there with the state, Drew Reed, and he just had come back from the river. He had climbed down that bank, and I told him that I wasn't going down there because I'd have to walk to town down the creek to get out. But anyway, he found a wet weather spring apparently is under that slide, which presents another problem. There's no water in the ditches above it, therefore it has to be a wet weather spring. But anyway, I just wanted to echo my thoughts about Roger Caldwell. He's put together, folks. He should have been, with the experience he had with the state in a lot of positions. He was a good man for the job, and you did a good job electing. Thank you. And you all look so much better now that I've got the cataracts off. Younger even.
We appreciate Mr. Cole. I know he helps me anytime I give him a call, so he's working on it for us.
He's good.
Yep. Dr. Ward, you back there?
Yep.
You want to go next, sir? You'll give us just a couple minutes to gather our papers.
That's what they ask you about Smalley Bridge. You can see it. That was pretty good. That's rather pretty. Well, I used to live
You grew up there? Brad, you gave us a revising on this, didn't you? Is that part of it?
Page 2.
Or there's at least one thing? He does have that up there on the screen if everybody wants to take a look at that. Just a little easier.
Hey Brad, what changed between the revision? I guess I'm just missing.
Okay, I cut off part of this explanation column.
A lot of things there a little bit, I guess.
I'm looking at all the numbers and I'm like, they all match.
Makes sense.
No, it's the other figures that was broken down into the 3%, 1.5%.
It's a tag in the workbook, it's called BEP.
But it's not the graphic on this, what they come up with, I guess,
That's the portion of the air Probably have raises. Check that column where it says salaries before, maybe pull the revised figures in there.
Right here.
No,
Y'all find
on the worksheet it's open. What was that?
column B. Column B, okay.
Just get salaries before, at the bottom.
You were 4 o'clock?
That won't work, that's the revised figure.
Okay.
Top of that line item. Go back to the top, I see the 3% for paraprofessionals. Go back to the top, it says professionals. Teachers. 1.5, yeah, there's the figure, 367, 517. Right. Okay. I didn't know those figures in the big deal, so I just wanted to have numbers.
And the BEP from the state this year, they required a $317,000 raise for teachers. Things that count towards that are step raises and benefits. So that was deducted off. That's how I arrived at the 6.6% raise. Then the board approved to make the raise 1.5% instead of 0.6, which was a difference of 220,000 or so. 120,000. And they also gave the paraprofessionals a 3% raise.
Dr. Wood, can you explain the difference between state, federal, BEP?
Yeah, there's three sources of funding. You got your local funding, you got your state funding, then you got federal funded programs. For example, in our office, we have a lot of our employees that's in the office that's paid out federal, which doesn't affect our general budget. The BEP formula that the state sets is, for example, they have us allocated for 6.2 supervisors for our office. Special ed supervisor is plugged in there as one position in itself, so it takes away that one position. So we basically are coming in somewhere around 4.6 supervisors. That's actually supervisor pay underneath the 6.2 positions. I've got a sheet here that has got a list of, sometimes when you look, you see large numbers, but then again, it doesn't, large numbers and where they affect the budget. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 federally funded employees in our office, and they are mostly in special ed, Highland testing, and then we have food service, which is Ms. Feathers, her secretary Diane Duncan, and all those funds are directly funded through the food service program as well. Then you have Head Start, which is Mr. Winters, which is a federally funded program. That's a 70 federal, 30% to us, so we're trying to pay 30% on this salary. And then we have another program that is state grant. It's pre-K, and that's for Dr. White, Carol White, preschool. Pre-K, rather.
Most of the federal programs, federal grants are accounted for in the school federal projects fund. And it can't be budgeted until those grants are approved by the state.
In fact, the federal budget will be coming up, I think, in May's workshop.
So you're on the salaries right here, like you're funding it with majority of BEP money, and then some of it's coming from, I guess, your fund balance. Is that what you're doing?
No, we didn't take anything from fund balance.
So it's all out of the BEP
This year. This year we've stayed out of fund balance, and basically you're looking at a 3% raise for paraprofessionals. That cost, and this was from the additional BEP that we got. That was a big surprise.
Okay.
We got those figures late on Friday afternoon, and I was emailing Brad late Friday afternoon asking him, are these right? Of course, he responded back to, let me study them over the weekend, and then of course on the following Monday, we got together, and $256,320 is a 3% raise for paraprofessionals. And like he alluded to, for in a with a 1.5%, the state, what it equaled out to once the additional money come mandated for teachers was about 0.6%. The board added, I think it was additional $200,000+ to get, because it was initially $187,000, wasn't it, that we had, and then we had to add additional $200,000 to get to the $367,517 to give the teachers a 1.5%. Now, what we did do is, with that money, we, the board voted to, with Ms. Burke's recommendation, and I think it was a smart move, we voted to, board voted to put approximately $83,000 into a reserve line, based on the fact between the first estimate and the June-July estimate. Last year, it dropped $40,000, so it's just a buffer to make sure that if it drops, we can still have our numbers pretty close to what we have now. So that's an estimate. But basically, what you have in your hand, we're coming into today with a balanced budget, and with the teachers, a 1.5% increase, and that was basically with some additional monies that the governor had put to the program this year, and with the paraprofessionals, 3% raise for paraprofessionals. None of that covered from fund balance. So we have a balanced budget. The two sheets that I passed out to you earlier, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. In this process, we started out at $1.3 million, and once we started working down, it took $154,000, which is approximately 8.7% or so from food service. Food service has a healthy fund balance. I don't think it's a practice that we would want to continue right along, because if food service is operating and making a little money at the end of the year and they have built-in fund balance, you know, we definitely don't want to take money from them to put it into the general fund. But we did this year, and that was $154,000 going toward it. 4 assistant principals. These are the 2 principals at each high school. The reason this was looked at, and this was put on the table, was based, as you look at your BEP funding formula, our 4 high schools are funded for a principal and an assistant. So we have had an extra assistants, or 4 extra assistant principals for several years. And if you go back into the late 90s up into the mid 2000s, there was plenty of money there to do it with the Race to the Top and some of the other programs coming through, dumping money into the educational systems. Teacher cuts, 5 positions, $192,000. Those cuts were made in places where enrollment was dropping, and when we had one to retire or take another job somewhere else, we haven't replaced that position, making up that difference of approximately $192,000. That third item down, the 4 positions at the high school says ISS. It's not that, it's the proctor. Next year, Northeast State is going to be doing, they're going to have a faculty person on campus, so there'll be no need for those proctors. That's $20,000. 1 position, counselor. We had 2 counselors at Happy Valley, and over the last several years, with the enrollment has dropped there. BEP funds basically 1 counselor for each one of the 4 high schools. So that was a position pulled and a savings of $50,000. This is an estimate of $50,000 with some of the governor's safety money that's going to be coming through. Capital improvements, we've cut capital improvements $100,000. Other capital outlay, we cut it $50,000, which took the balance, I think, for capital improvements. What that's for is emergencies. If we have rooftop units on the vocational buildings, or if we have large expenditure items, boilers or stuff like that, or maybe even partial roofing projects. That $180,000 as the balance is now will be used to fix those emergencies. The other capital outlay is about $75,000 balance, which we've subtracted the $50,000 from it, made that cut. That $75,000 is to assist each one of the 14 schools in the needs of scrubbers, buffers, any type of equipment that they would need during the course of the school year. And we go through a lot of scrubs and buffers based on the fact that we've got 15 buildings and they're using them every day. This next line item was basically brought to our attention. Our flight program instructor wants to go back to a full-time or a part-time position, his choosing. And he still will be able to teach flight on a part-time basis at Happy Valley. But by him making that request, that saved an additional $20,000. Right now, I'll just be honest with you, took time today to call and check to see where the pending legislation is with the nursing and the extra funding. Brandon, have you heard anything on that? I'll call one of the representatives or Mr. Crowe tomorrow to try to find out. Right now, we're funded one nurse for 3,500 kids. BP pays us they pay us for 1.5 nurse. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 or 12 nurses on staff, so we're well above BP figure in terms of how many nurses. But this is a position, or these are positions that we feel like that we've got to keep on staff based on the fact that there's a lot more diabetes in school, but a lot more allergic reactions to peanut butter, different things like that. There's just not, there's a lot of needs. We've got kids in school at one particular location, especially with program that's 2 feeders. That nurse is there on a full-time basis. And I will tell you that each one of the 11 nurses that's working and some going back and forth are staying busy. I actually had the request to try to put 2 more on. And at this particular point in time, with the way the budget is, we're still stuck at those 11 positions. But that just gives you an idea of what state gives us versus what our need is. But this funding formula, if they change it, it'll go 1 to every 700 kids, which would amount to around 5.5 new positions that would help fund the additional 11 that we already have. Diesel fuel, we looked at that line item, talked to Mr. Sams, and he agreed. He met with me, he met with Mr. Burke, and he agreed that that line item was heavy. So we took the 40,000 from diesel fuel. Transportation, that's 1 school bus, not this year, but next year, instead of buying 2 school buses next year, we backed off, we'll be buying 1 school bus. In the meantime, we developed a schedule over the next 5 years. He's got 7 buses to replace. It's going to be turning 17 years old, which is state maximum. So we've worked out a schedule over the next 5 years. How he gets those 7 buses replaced. This year, with the 2 that's been bought this year, I think that might go toward the account of 7, so which would leave 5 that we'd have to fund over the next 4 years. Textbooks, the reason we did buy textbooks this year is the social studies adoption. We bought Chromebooks. In the process of buying Chromebooks, so we'll be using a program called Canvas, where we'll have our curriculum and everything online. Those books will be kept in the social studies classroom, and was able to save in this first round at $100,000 from that by going to the digital textbooks. Last year we went to digital textbook in high schools with science, and it's worked out well. At the bottom of that page, you can see some of the numbers that we had to overcome. One of the big numbers there that was a good number is the insurance. We had no increase this year. That was really a big help. Step raises are approximately $250,000 on an annual basis. We have to do step raises. We estimated somewhere in the neighborhood of about $530,000 for BP shortage and salary adjustments, $40,000 classroom reduction teacher we had to put back into the general category. That was $50,000. And then there's, we still are operating with a lot of paper as it relates to our applications and applicants applying. We're looking at an online program where we can do that more online and save some paper and make it more accessible for people out there that's applying for jobs. And that would also allow personnel to send electronic emails for references and things of that nature.
Dr. Ward, you mentioned school buses. I was just curious, I know you still have the advertisements on those. What's the money look like on them?
Right now, and as you look over the last couple of years, it's really grown to, show up on a lot more buses. I think right now we're bringing in somewhere between $12,000 and $14,000. That's on an annual basis. And what the board decided to do when we went to that program was to put it in Mr. Sam's in a line item to where he could use it to purchase cameras for the buses. So he's been using that for technology purposes.
So, I mean, it is causing them to get some money coming in.
Yes, it's producing some revenue that offsets the expense of the cameras if we were to have it done ourselves. On line 2, after the first phase come back after a deficit of $295,000 remaining, got to looking a little closer, and we went ahead and took the remaining, once we realized we had money to purchase the Chromebooks and didn't need none of the textbook money, we took $160,000 more for textbooks. We had the Chromebooks and the campus program pretty much secured. And then there was one special ed position where 2 classes are being combined into one based on numbers being low, and that's a Cloudland. And there's a teaching position also, a teacher who is retiring at Cloudland, and that's a position that we also looked at their schedule, felt like that we could absorb as well. Each one of these, when you look at those assistant principal positions and you look at these teacher positions, each one of these positions, the 5 on the first page plus the 4, which was 9 total with your assistant principals, and then 10, 11, 12 on the second round. Each one of these 12 positions is a BEP position that's not funded. Does that make sense? We have to adjust those teachers to keep them getting, I guess, they're out of balance now. Now, when you are spread out and you have 15 schools, you're going to have more teachers than what you normally would have otherwise. Just from the fact that, if you have a class that where you're 3 over based on the state minimum regulations, you have a teacher for those kids. So you break that class into 2 halves, and you have over 13 kids in there instead of a maximum class size of 20.
You mentioned on the textbooks, you went with the Chromebooks, and you just did it last year for science and this year social studies. How are the kids learning when they leave school? Do they not have any homework they need to study? I mean, how are the test results since Chromebooks are staying in the classroom?
We're looking, and of course we'll see more this year once we take the test. Last year it didn't seem like it made a difference at high school level. As we move to these Chromebooks now, there's some worksheets and some things in which they can use for practice, home practice. So, and the Canvas program, has different activities and stuff on it that can be printed off to, make packets to go home.
Kevin, on this page 2, it says credit recovery and personal insurance. What is that? Is that where the baseball field got flooded?
No, that was a position. Credit recovery is a program that we have, in 2 locations, or sometimes high schools program up and do a program at their school. What that is, it's a program for kids who are behind in their courses, not on track to graduate. They had a teacher that was teaching credit recovery, and that teacher is also teaching personal finance, which is a new requirement of the state of Tennessee that every student has to have a half-year personal finance. So what we were able to do is the teacher would be going back to language arts, and those 2 positions will be worked into other schedules without having to hire an extra teacher. Now, talking about the baseball, once we, I guess, get the budget process finished, to be happy to answer any questions, but approximately $70,000 is what they estimated the damage is.
Did you get any insurance on the ball field being flooded?
$70,000.
$70,000.
Yeah. And majority of that money is going to be fencing. fence repair and grounds repair. But one thing, road department stepped up and come down. I seen the pile of debris when it was in the creek, and I knew it was a lot of debris. But once they got the debris out and on the bank, it was, I don't know, it's probably 3 town loads full or more. So it's a whole lot of trash you'll have to get rid of here as soon as it dries out.
The cuts to assistant principals, is there any reassignments for those, or just cuts?
With each one of these cuts, what we always try to look at is we look at people who are, say for example, if it's tenured positions, we look to absorb them back into a spot that we have opening through retirement. This year we had about 9 people retire, so a lot of these positions are going to be absorbing back into those. So it's a puzzle between now and July to get all our plan placed. But that's our first effort.
How many you had retired this year?
I think we had, teachers alone, I think we had somewhere around 9. Yeah.
Kevin, you see on that online application program, ask for people, I guess, applying for positions with county schools, how much are we spending printing costs a year roughly? I mean, what's the break even on $25,000?
On the print house, this is more of, this is a one-time fee. And then, of course, we, I think, have a maintenance fee of about $1,500 per year after that. But this online application program is more to, I guess, of a courtesy to these people that are seeking application and making it easier for them to apply with us. And then, of course, for us to be able to send out references. And so, you know, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have a guess on what kind of money we're using, but you know, right now it's strictly through the paper application process, and it's very time consuming, and we feel like this would be a great move into where we use technology to improve that.
What on our assistant principals, what are their job duties, basically, your assistant principals?
With the 2 assistants or with the 1?
The 4 positions, what do the assistant principals do in regards to the principal? What do?
A lot of the schools and the primary broken up to where they were used as disciplinarians. One would be more like the disciplinarian principal and has some other duties in terms of hallway and whatever. The other one was more in charge of curriculum, and I think both of them were evaluation certified to help the principal get the evaluations done during the course of the year of teachers. But one was more into doing the title and some of the paperwork that has to be done along the school year to get their title funds. The other one was more that one that we remember when we were in school, the one that carried the paddle around and, you know, tried to keep over in the hallway, the disciplinary.
Where's that job going to go to? Who's going to start doing that? Who's going to start doing that now since those positions are big on?
Well, once you lose this assistant principal, the principal and the assistant will have to pick up the pace.
And attendance too, I know that's okay.
Attendance. Now, we do at the high school, we have attendant clerks that it's a part-time position, so a lot of them are keeping up with it. But one of the assistant will actually have to, or the principal one, whichever chooses to do so, will have to work with the attendance clerk to keep up with the attendance. Yeah, because it's a very big piece now.
I've got another question. And I'm sure this is still true, do the public schools still require all the kindergartners coming in to have their updated vaccines? Because you know that's turning into what we're seeing as a major problem, parents not getting their children vaccinated.
With the measles outbreak.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I know they're writing in with the nurses, needing the nurses in the school, it would be.
That's, they have to, of course, when they do the early registration down here at Childline, then some of those kids don't come, but that shows up first day of registration when we start back. That's one of the first pieces.
And how long do you allow them to stay in the school system before they get all their vaccines updated? Because they can attend for a little while until
They
they,
have a very short period of time within the first couple of weeks of school, they have to have those vaccinations and documents or records for the file. But now, I think just this past weekend, I seen, is it measles outbreak because of not vaccinated.
yeah, it's just something that's,
Any more questions? Ms. Burke, you want to add anything?
Yes, we initially projected the BEP to decrease by 500,000 or so based on the loss of students. But when the initial BEP estimate came in, the BEP actually increased over last year. And that's due to the state increasing their funding levels, their percentages, and it equaled out to an increase per student of $202 in funding from the state. And as you can see on the detailed revenue and expenditure schedule, BEP is just over $30 million. That's a big chunk of the GPS budget. And also included in the budget this year, the school department received sales tax. There was a half-cent increase approved several years ago for school capital purchases. That's been included in the initial budget, the revenues, wealth, expenditures, and capital outlay. And also listed is a reserve from Johnson Controls, which is an energy savings program that ended 2 or 3 years ago. That the school department received savings during that program. And those have been budgeted to be used up in 1920. And there's a couple of state budgets. Kevin may have already addressed this, but a couple of state budgets that aren't included in the GPS budget for 1920. That is the LEAPS program, Early Education Program, and the 21st Century Community Learning Center. Those will be, the budget will be amended when those budgets were approved by the state.
Kevin, what about this voucher program? How's it going to affect the schools?
I called our representatives last week before the vote and asked them to vote no. The voucher system will, especially rural school systems like Clark County and Greene County that's experiencing similar problems. A lot of the school systems and the revenue base, coming from the industry is not what it needs to be. But I'm afraid it's going to hurt. I think where they're at right now with the voucher and the way that it's went through, Knox County wanted out of it. They let Knox County out of it. They kept Shelby County, Davidson County, and I think Hamilton County, the largest counties in the state. They did indeed put them on the voucher system, and that is, I think that included about 15 schools that would qualify that fell in that lower 10% category. But what they had just voted on, basically, in my opinion, is that within the next 2 to 3 years, they've opened the door statewide for the voucher system, which will suck the BEP from the public education to private charter schools.
That's going to hurt. You're going to lose extra students if they pass it our way.
You'll lose, if it comes statewide, you'll lose extra students and funding goes with it. Yeah.
How many, you got resource officers in all schools now, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many does the school department pay for?
We, let's see, we've got 16, and it includes one full-time supervisor. If I'm not mistaken, Ronnie, I think at one time we was paying 6, we picked up 4. I think we're paying somewhere maybe around 9 or 10.
And the sheriff's department pays the rest.
The county commission had appropriated some money years ago and get it to the sheriff's budget so that they could pick up the difference. Brad, is that about right? There's a few more that we pay.
I can tell you the amounts, I don't have the general fund in front of me for the total cost of the SROs, but the school department contributes. SROs, $341,000.
But according to Chief Parrish's numbers that he gave during the last meeting, so the county pays 6, the schools pays 10.
Okay, and it's somewhere close to 10, so that 341,000 is what we pay, and then the additional comes from the sheriff's department. I'm not real sure what the additional is. I think it's the sheriff's budget, wouldn't it?
They have 16 and a half supervisor now too.
Yep. More questions?
How about, I guess our kids go to those Bedford City schools? Do they have to pay tuition these days? I've heard something that, like, they're not required to pay tuition coming from the county to the city.
The city used to charge higher tuition than what they do now. I'm not real sure what they've done. I think over the last couple of years, they've dropped that tuition. Of course, you know, we have a tuition-free zone, which is Kingberg. So those kids coming out of 8th grade in that tuition-free zone can go to the city for free tuition.
They still pay.
They do, just maybe a lower.
I think,
moved from the city just 2 weeks ago, and they called it or whatever.
Yeah.
I got on the statements.
800.
is it still that much?
800 per child when they get to middle school.
Okay.
I think it goes up to 400, and high school's 300.
And then you have silent, you have third.
I actually had 300
All the
in
same,
my,
it's a good thing.
These ones just had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how that works, since they've only got 4 weeks of school there, but they told them, pay or hit the road, and so they.
Any idea what that number is if our kids go?
was that a forecast? I don't think with the new law now that they could release them until the end of the school year.
Well, that's what we were told, but I don't guess those parents knew that, they'd already moved them, so.
Okay. There's a new law now that says that once you take them after, say, September 20th, there's yours on your record through the end of the school year. Used to, you could, assistant could push them out at Christmas or any time, but that law's different.
You got to understand, or any idea of how many you lose a year on the, from the two city schools? Any idea?
Well, I've got a sheet that gives us some numbers that runs over the past several years. Since 1998, about 1,340 kids, some years heavy, some years not as heavy. Actually, 1 or 2 years, in the last 21, 22 years, we've actually had small growth. But looking at on a yearly basis, be hard to average. Matter of fact, the other day, had Mr. Thomas run me some reports, and what we see is we've got kids going to city schools, but that's usually on the front end of the school year. But during the course of the school year, we've got kids that's coming back to us from the city. And then we have kids that's coming in from outside of the area. The biggest majority of the kids that we're losing are going to surrounding Tri-Cities or Middle Tennessee or out of state. So, you know, on a yearly basis, I think Mr. Thomas said roughly maybe of what we lose this year we lost 110, about 20% of that, probably 25% might be going to the city. Because I think, quite honestly, I think most cities' elementaries are about full. And one place that they have really available room would be at the high school. I'm not sure about that, but I think so. I have the updated sheet. I've got over period from 97 to 2019, 1,355 students, which at the per pupil rate is about $347,000 per year. And if you broke that down into numbers over the last 20 years, we're right at $8 million that we've we've lost in terms of the 1,355 kids.
I think, Brad, you have a question?
Top of order. My item stems from page 6. Particularly, how big an interest you have on employee insurance?
Hey, Brad, can you tell us what line you're on there?
Yeah, 207. Page 6, 207, will be the 71,100. Page 6.
Push back the presentation.
They were, but they got shut off
Did they?
from the call.
And there's also-
Get the insurance.
211.
Last year,
was quite a bit. So we had to make some adjustments with our numbers where they need to be. Actually, we didn't have an insurance increase this year, we had 0 increase. That number, one year to the next year, there's been adjustments made based on back where it needs to be. It wasn't fully done.
Compared to 1920 budget, with estimated action for 1819, there is a slight increase in $1,000. The budget last year was understated.
Second that I have is line 214, termination benefits employee staff.
When you leave, you get the car.
That's colored. Actually, back to Tuesday,
When someone retires, I think the bonus, we'll call it, is $5,000.
If we,
Let's say we pay $15 for each sick day, that's unused. And any vacation days.
well, that's under general, when you guys have your line item for your employee, their salary based on the benefits goes with it, sick days, vacation days, it's allotted, you get so many per month, so now you're doubling.
No, that's not doubling. That's a line item that specifically takes that money when the teacher retires and have to have every year to get it. It's $5,000 retirement funds. And then, like you said, if you have maximum vacation days, 4 weeks is what you pay for. You can't get bachelor's and get your 6 days.
Teachers.
Teachers, this is professionals, all teachers. And it's a $16 per day, $15 per day. Now, a lot of people, when they retire, what they do is they choose to use the 60 days as time of service. You've got their teacher, you've got 200 plus days, you can use that as an extra year. I think a lot of people choose to do that.
So if we go and launch it out the door anymore, that's, get it done.
Was that listed as something else?
Credit card.
Was that listed as something else?
Yeah, then 299, I believe.
Because it's coming at zero until just 6 years.
Brad, I mean, if we had a fully funded OPEB, this would come out of that, correct? I mean, because this is our balance sheet, all this is figured in, when we have the actual study.
It's classified as termination benefits, but sick days, they're classified as accrued leave. It's dollar value assigned to them, but as far as funding, I would assume that would be part of the.
More questions? The good news is no pennies for taxpayers to have to pick it up, and we didn't have to pay any money from fund balance. And teachers got a 1.5% raise, and the officials got a true 3% raise, not just a bonus. Which y'all will know, get bonuses at Christmas. big chunk of that's taken for tax purposes, but they got a 3% raise for all our paraprofessionals, so that's the good news.
Yeah, we know you had a hard job making those cuts right there. We appreciate that, certainly. We thank you for being the forerunner and the SROs and keeping our kids safe. Keeping those guys in our schools. We really appreciate that. I know everybody does.
You know, you run into a lot of people out and about. I know each one of you all are in your position as well. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of different conversations. And all been very cordial. Some, you know, not really in agreement with some of the statements I've made, but like I said, very cordial. One conversation he asked me, he said, why do you just have so many SROs? And then he asked me, he said, you know, don't that cost a lot of money? And yes, it does, but you can't put a price on a kid's head or a faculty person or somebody. The money we spend and the sheriff department spends to train, equip, and of course to pay them the salary that they work at, and for them to have their presence at our schools is huge. And you know, I think you guys, the sheriff department, our board of education, you know, without you all, without our board, and with you know, without Mr. Lunsford and Chris in the past, working with the schools to get these numbers where they're at, 15 schools covered with one roving supervisor. I dare to say that there's probably very few systems across the state that can stand up, right to say what Kirk County can say. And I say, you know, and I give credit to those who needs credit given to our funding body, our board, and the sheriff department. So, thank you.
Yes, I think
The
everybody.
school just pays for the SROs for 10 months, right?
Yeah.
That, the rest goes back to the sheriff only.
Yeah, the way they do the SRO salaries is, Harris sits down with us every year, and they actually bring up the total cost. They break it down into 10 months because they take them the 11th and 12th month and they put on the road tax for the patrol. So we're actually only paying for what we get. So, yes, it is. Yes.
Well, just one other question. Line, let's see. It says page 14 maybe, or 4. I can't tell. I think it's 14. Line 139, assistant principals. It showed like a difference of like 683,000 for the actual, and this one was up to 435,000, which was a change of 322,000. Why the huge change?
It's the educational assistance.
No, office of the principal.
139.
Yeah, 139.
Difference in the actual, estimated actual for 18-19 and the budget for 19-20 is those 4 positions that were cut.
Okay.
Is that approximately about $250,000 difference?
So that's figured to account for those 4 positions.
Well, yeah, but those were cut. I was just curious, why had it gone up 322,000?
Last year, in the budget, we were included down here in other salaries and wages.
Thank you.
Do you want to cover the other education or central cafeteria, or you kind of covered all that?
Brad, do you want to cover the educational or central cafeteria?
Okay, central cafeteria, of course, it's a self-supporting fund. Majority of the revenue comes from where we reimburse for meals to the government. We also collect funds from children who are on reduced rate or regular cost meals, as well as teachers. They do have a good fund balance, and the reason there's $154,000 being transferred over to the general purpose school fund is the central cafeteria pays no utilities or building usage charges. So those are considered indirect costs. Those are allowed to be paid by the cafeteria fund.
That's the one you moved to, is to help out.
But on the cafeteria fund, is the same program that's going on right now where all the kids get free breakfast and lunch still going on next year, or?
Yeah.
That's the community eligibility.
That's all at the elementary school.
They're only required to keep 3 months of operating expenditures in their fund balance. So they have a very healthy fund balance.
Like 3.3 is what you're looking at, that will.
The other education special revenue fund, otherwise known as the Head Start program. They receive most of their funds from the federal government through the Upper East Tennessee Human Development Agency. And of course, they, most of their expenses are for salaries and benefits. The Head Start program in the schools. And they receive no local funding either. Have any questions on any one of those?
I believe so. Dr. Ford, thanks again.
Thank you, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Debt service, you want to talk about?
Of course, we have one debt service fund for the whole county. Payments on debt for the school department as well as general county for the debt service fund. Primary funding is received through local taxes, and primarily property taxes. And also hand out a schedule of changes in debt. Have the balances at the beginning of the year, and then the balances at the end of 2019. And on the last page, I believe, the general debt service packet, last page 30, are the principal and interest requirements by year until this debt is paid off. We have total debt principal due on June 30, 2019, $19,375,041. Interest, $5,695,08. Other fees, $78,969.96, for a total of $25,149,011. The loans will be paid off in 2025 and the bonds in 2035, unless the county chooses to pay some of those off early. The earliest the bonds are can be early called is 2021. There's some other information for you here as far as our debt ratios and debt load. Our debt per capita at June 30, 2018 is $360. At June 30, 2019 is $337. In some area counties, the closest one to us is Green, they're at $395. And the highest one is Washington County, $1,471. Hawkins, $1,268. Equal with $1,146. So we're the lowest in this area.
So you're in pretty good shape, what you're telling us.
Our debt load is
What do we owe, right? This is jail, but all we owe.
the jail and other loans for school building improvements. And there was a note paid off this year by the general fund. The commission voted to pay that off early. It was $126,000, I believe.
Are there any low-hanging fruit that we can hit? Do we have anything to hit it with?
Yeah, we have a good fund balance.
But we just take it from our debt service, something that fund balance.
And last year, if you remember, we took 11 cents from debt service and added it to the general fund, to balance the general fund. I'm forecasting the difference between estimated revenues and appropriations for 1920 to be $144,202. It's on page 2. 1 and 2. And that's with the 11 cents return to general debt service.
To the good.
Right.
So with what we're paying this year, 164 on the other school loans, 1.6 million we paid off. We got 4.2 million debt service fund balance, so basically that 2.6 million left we paid off.
And those interest rates on those loans are variable, which interest rates are going up. They were around 0.5% now, or 1 3/4.
What was that again?
It's, the loans are variable interest
What was
rates.
the percent?
They were less than 4 or 5, you know, a couple, 3 years ago. Now they're 1 3/4.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of that, that's a lot of hate.
And the earliest on any of those is 2021, is that what you said? Or some
Bonds.
So any of the, like the school loan stuff, we can actually take out now if necessary.
There's no penalty for prepaying those.
Do you think that'd be a good call on your expected expense on the pay off?
It's about $190-some thousand. Is that, am I looking at that right?
Of course, if the interest rates continue to increase, which they most likely will, that interest requirement's going to go up.
That'd be good to see. Yeah, that's something I might want to take a look at if you, get through this budget cycle. That'd be fun when we can plug off there. Be good. Any questions on that for Brad or anything? They want to say something? No?
What'd you say?
With the payment coming off about 1.6, you say we got, what, 110,000 extra?
140.
So I mean, basically, that's almost 2 payments coming off, and then you're looking at $1.5 million to get paid off. You're done, I mean, you just have the jail. Forever.
Forever. Well, let's look at it in a different perspective. If we do take and knock that one out and then take everything that's being spent to that, as well as the increase that we had, how much would that be able to short us on the jail? Because we're still got like 5.5 million in interest just on that. Over the life.
You have to do a calculation on that.
You basically saving 2.5 pennies a year, you pay off.
Those loans,
Yeah. But if you remember,
I mentioned at the last meeting, is there something to pay off? Maybe we might have just a little bit of money, a little bit of money left over, that would definitely save money on the maturation.
195 grand is a big chunk. Oh, yeah. That's
probably higher, as the interest rates go up.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, a year or 2 years from now, that pays for your raises for everything else, so.
A little bit of forecast.
Because if that goes up 2.5%, that means that's flat out 2.5%, more than 2.5% that we would not be able to have for something like that. Are the rates on the jail variable too? Oh,
They're fixed.
I was about to go jump out of the window.
Brad, what is the interest rate trustees getting now on the money?
Not sure, maybe 2 1/4, maybe 2.5.
That's a pretty good number last time.
You don't know how much you turn it back in this year, do you?
You talking about for interest income?
You have, what you turn it back in interest this year?
See, the forecast have to be, the two funds that get interest are the general debt service fund and the general fund. General debt service gets 60,000, I believe. And 561, about 600,000,
About 600,000.
19.
Good. It's not bad, is it? You don't want to get last year. All three of them.
Anything on that, debt service? Probably Robert's still here. If there's something we can do on maybe moving this meeting or whatever on May 16th.
Which meeting is it?
It's, right, well, I've got our main calendar, it's May 16th, Budget Committee approves budget, which I mean, that'll just be our committee.
Who would they have to meet with the commission?
That's in June, I believe.
So we scheduled that last,
Yeah.
June 3rd.
13th.
I thought one of them was a workshop. June 13th. Yeah, that was the workshop. 13th.
June, no, that's the workshop. We just passed on that one, and we're supposed to be $35.
Another one had
Yeah, workshop.
13th and 16th.
June 13th, the budget workshop, and we're getting paid.
For the full county.
Yeah.
Full
Well,
county.
then we're meeting on 13th and then again on the 16th.
Now, that's for May, that's for coming up. in
Yeah.
May. That workshop for the full commission, that's in June.
We're meeting on May.
13th our regular.
Yeah, 13th is the Monday, and then 16th is, what day is that, Thursday?
The 16th is Thursday.
I think that's the one in question, the 16th is,
Our vote.
yeah. So, I mean, to accommodate for those that want to be part of that, or that day meeting, we can move it to,
I already have tickets
do May 6th.
to the dinner.
Can't vote.
And we do it,
It's your spare hearing day. The 13th, are we meeting on the 13th? I mean, I know we're doing.
it's just a regular meeting, but I mean, we're not, it's open. I'm sure we can have a regular meeting and, vote after that. I think that would give those that wanted to attend, and they could be here for that. I'm sure they can try to, most of them be here at the budget meeting anyway. Everybody up for that, I mean, just talking about it.
The only thing I'd be concerned about is, we want to have something to present in June.
Yeah,
So I hate taking that open hearing day. I mean, that open hearing day, it's always nice to come and sit down and hash out stuff, even if we're not, we can't vote. And then the 13th, at least, that would be your first voting day. And that next week is the full commission for you. That's signature.
so one of you, come on Wednesday, that Wednesday, or after, that gives at least open, that regular meeting, potential hearings, after the meeting, I guess.
Publish this, what, people 10-day notice?
No, it's 5, and for a change of date like that, it's not as stringent.
What do you guys think? Any ideas on that? You got?
So the budget, same day as the regular meeting.
Well, I think they kind of want to maybe leave that open for potential for another hearing, if we don't have anybody come back in. And maybe do it on Wednesday, the 15th, late 15th. I know that'd be a tough week, but, of course, eliminate the 16th and open that day. We'll do that instead, we do it on Wednesday. Anybody up for that, or take a look at your calendar? I know it is, but it's,
You say vote on the 15th?
yes.
Election board.
So we're,
Gotta have the color card.
the 6th is just open, well, not actually.
Second's open, 6th open.
6 is open. 13th, you vote on the 15th. On the 13th, we're not having budget discussions.
That's, I don't know, if we need to, we can, I guess, I mean, we got several
could-
dates.
You can always schedule the 15th, and if you can vote on it on the 13th, we can just cancel the 15th with a notice, and that doesn't have to be posted in advance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good idea right there. We got an open day for potential hearing, meeting, we could put a slash. Clark? I know, well, let's not do that on Wednesday for sure. Let's set it for the 13th. And depending on if we got anybody coming in, you know, for the hearing, so we just do it right after. We'll try that, open up that 16th day. And I mean, it still gives us May 2nd, May 6th if we do not have somebody else to come in.
Sure, has everybody made their presentation?
Yeah, I mean, that I'm aware of. We're not missing anybody right on here.
May 16th, May 1.
Well, it would more or less be kind of,
Yeah.
it's not real major boo-boo. It should be very minor if anybody doesn't approve.
That, court, I mean, that, we've got, that's that. Let's set it for the 13th, then. That, May 16th, just move it to the 13th.
So just scratch.
Yeah, 16th is off, that's the, go with the 13th, yeah.
Is that all right, too, Michael? Michael, is that all right, too?
Yeah. Motion on the
13th is 2 days prior to the 16th.
6.
Yeah.
Pardon? 6 o'clock. Well, yeah, we'll have our regular meeting at 6 and then just do no. Well, no, the regular meeting is the 13th. And we'll do the actual, the 16th date, the budget committee approves budget, that's the 13th.
Oh, I see that.
That's bad.
Well, I mean, if we need to meet, we can, I mean, it's on there, we don't.
It would be good to meet and sit down and just kind of hash out.
Yeah.
I mean, can we use it as a meeting just for us?
You just get both,
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things, you know, we've still got budgets that still have anywhere from 0 to 8%.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things we need to try to figure out before we
I
have
think we
budget
should be
meetings.
using that as those days.
Well, that's, I mean, next, we'll go ahead and schedule right, I mean, schedule, plan to be here May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Yeah.
Second or 6th?
The 2nd. We'll take the first.
That's on the Thursday.
That's the
That's
second.
this week, good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little messed up too.
Yeah, we were saying.
Yeah, let's see.
January took 2.5 years to get done.
Yeah.
Everything else is shot.
I've got a highway commission on my calendar.
Oh, yeah, that's highway committee too this week.
Yeah, okay.
So we just want to keep the.
Here we go, May 6th, how about it? May 6th, open hearing.
When they gonna have to, one day you're finding your shot.
Okay. Miss Lincoln Day in, it's giving me a hard time.
He won't know when they come, just forget about it.
Listen, May 13th is going to be a regular scheduled budget meeting. And it can be open day for potential hearing / meeting / budget committee approves budget. Okay, May 13th. May 2nd, open day for potential hearing, we're not going to do that. That will be May 6th.
What?
6.
Yes.
6 to 13.
The second is a highway committee meeting, I think.
The 6 is landfill, so either way, you're gonna,
Well, the
I
sixth
mean,
is
I'm not trying to schedule landfill, I can tell you that, but I don't know about the highway. It's already scheduled.
Yeah, 6 to 13.
Six is already scheduled.
Second one, I think both dates were scheduled.
I had nothing.
They were.
I had highway committee for some reason, I don't know.
Okay, the highway committee scheduled for the same, but I.
We did before, we don't have to.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're not asking you to come again or anything.
No, I mean, we want to be here to set the sign like the camp.
I mean, the second kind of seems redundant. We're already here tonight, and then we're coming back Thursday night, and then we're gonna come back Monday night.
No, we're not coming Thursday, no.
That's what, but if we keep the schedule, that's what it is.
We need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any for the second. I must have skipped the day. The only day, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Give me a call. The only day that I had on here was the next day was the sixth. And then the sixth.
You're not there for school.
The sixth.
Process.
I think as long as we keep the sixth, and the sixth as the open hearing. And then we're having a budget meeting on the 13th. There were more scheduled budget meeting on the 13th. And then having a budget meeting, you're following the
Yeah.
budget. And then that opens up, that opens up 16.
Monday, everybody.
And I would rather just hash out the meeting before I hash out tonight as opposed to coming.
Yeah, we got.
We're already getting tonight.
Yeah. I mean, that was my idea, to cover this calendar and then kind of open it up.
All right, Michael, time to sell.
Talking. Right, you got that? I mean, the 16th is going to be open, we got nothing scheduled. Yeah, we plan to regular schedule meeting May 13th, and then the voting meeting doesn't follow that, same day.
This is going to.
Oh, man. That hearing comes after we vote on it.
Yeah, that, we have to pass some first.
It seems like she had it right before this commission meeting.
I was like, last year we ran into we had like 2 voting meetings and 3 voting meetings, we had to add some dates to the round time.
Yeah.
We done it for these things.
I think, as far as, man, it's a long time with that thing, last year. I think it all be wild.
I like this one every time.
But yeah, I mean, definitely, right now, the public hearing is scheduled for June 10th. I think it's vote like the only,
You can vote, like if you come up for like Isaiah Brown's talking to raise or sheriff's office to raise, I can't vote.
one second. Like when you say she couldn't vote for the whole school fund, the GPS,
She can vote for the whole school.
She can.
As if you vote for the whole budget. You just can't say, okay, like for me, I would be precluded from voting for a raise for county employees unless it was just specifically in the budget overall together. So like if we took a vote and said, 2%, 2.5% raise, and passed, I couldn't vote.
I couldn't vote on the school.
You did.
No, my wife did.
Oh, okay. We got that.
Sure, it's in Happy Valley. Just need your dirt.
So the good news.
Yeah, right. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I think you had something to say.
I just had, what about an early Saturday morning, 8 o'clock Saturday
It
morning?
doesn't sound good.
No.
The answer goes right, that pattern is full.
Some days later.
Want to know what you decided, I'm trying to set my calendar around.
I
Okay.
think we're going to 6th and the 13th.
Yeah. 6 open hearing for
Not
us.
having one Monday, this.
No. Or this Thursday.
Michael's on the board.
Yeah, so you see I knocked 16th off, so I knocked the second off. So we're at knock 16th off, put that up on the 13th.
Do you have on May the 6th or May the 13th?
Yeah, May 13th, we actually would like to vote on the budget.
Yes.
Which we have scheduled for the 16th, just move it to the 13th.
The sixth, isn't it? Yeah.
How's that set? Everybody clear on that? That's pretty good? 6 and 13.
6 and 13. Be here 6 o'clock.
So the next 3 Mondays, basically, here is going.
Right.
And then last Monday, there's nothing.
Well, and for us, it'll be a total of 8 Mondays in a row.
Yeah.
We've been sitting.
Could be worse.
Good. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
Last year, it was 46 hours, I think.
That person, Ronnie said, I'm out of here.
Okay. We're here, so questions, this is kind of open time, let's talk about whatever. If anybody's got anything they want to specifically cover, anybody?
It's gonna be 82 degrees tomorrow.
That's great. And one today too. Outside agencies, can we, does everybody have their stuff for that? I wouldn't mind just kind of talk it out and see how we feel on it. They got your grab all like
We're gonna match this 53%.
for their
It's on the board. It's on the board.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you, Brad.
You get marked about 50%.
So here, tell me where, should I do your
Keep it coming, Mike.
Make sure.
At some point, it's gonna be too
I
large.
would go first, and right off the bat, I say we cut it 40,000.
Go to the top.
It's on the bottom.
What do we want to, let's, if we're gonna take it from.
Yeah, no, hold on a minute. Let's go from starting at volunteer fire departments.
I have no problem with our local law fire departments. They deserve every penny.
Well, it comes out the Butler volunteer part, that's too much money, I think.
Yeah.
What's the MOU we have currently with Butler?
Well, I'll tell you, Butler, we asked them to bring us some documentation back.
And they
We
gave it.
haven't heard documentation.
They delivered some to Mayor Barnett today.
I say 55,000.
Did you have an eye to take a look at it? If you want, grab it, we'll, if you don't mind.
They're supposed to bring documentation on their calls, correct?
Yeah, that's what they were bringing
How
up.
about that, Isaiah?
That'd be great. Because I think I've heard some of the same stuff that maybe Travis has heard, talking to our dispatch. And dispatch got on some calls. They've had slow reaction times to calls.
I think it's one of the
Complaint that I've heard.
Yeah.
And I've heard from a couple of them. So that's very concerning. I don't want to pay for somebody for something that they do.
Well, they're already getting funding from their own county also.
Well, and that was the problem I had, that we're funding them
Right.
25, I think
They
Johnson
didn't,
County
they
did
asked for more
20.
from us than they did from
And-
their
Up
county.
17, I think it was 17.
No, I think it's not, either way,
Yeah.
but the guy said, well, there's $1 million homes and, and
They are up
whatever.
there, still getting, it's not a very big place in there.
No, so I didn't really.
They be there.
I couldn't follow.
Those are
Maybe
homes that people don't even live around year round.
No, they just
The
summer
odds of
homes.
fires are, I'm sure they're,
They're getting 5,000 from that grant, too, aren't they?
2,500.
What did we fund them a couple years ago?
10.
I thought it was 20,000 a couple years ago.
We did.
Yeah, it was.
What?
It was
Oh.
20,000.
20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They'll be cutting out the next year because they had this really
Yeah.
excess amount of
And
money.
I think they're actually sitting with,
They had a lot of money left
so
over.
good this year.
They had like $39,000 in a balance, didn't they? I mean, something crazy.
They said they like to keep, for like, they're trying to get a new truck or something.
A minute.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it.
I mean, I say we cut that in half and kind of go with that.
I say give it 5,000.
I'm thinking 5.
Well, that would be 75.
Plus they go for 2,500, let's say, yeah, with Kelly on it.
Well, like I said, I'm good with giving them a look, or giving them something, I mean, you know, they're gonna have to show that they're doing what they, give them money to supposed to do.
I'm with them. If they're actually putting in the work and it's just not getting recorded here, because it's going over there and getting lost in the translation, that's one thing, but, you know.
Well, even 32 calls, I mean, that's like $800 a call. It's not worth it.
Well, the previous, not this year, but last year, when we were funding, you know, one of the things that was stressed, and one of the things that was mentioned from our county fire association is, you know, the city, the county fire departments, and, you know, Butler included, because of the location of it, Elk Mills, Elk Park, going towards Rome Mountain, that way. They all have memorandum of understandings that if something happens, they're gonna go. So they had a memorandum of understanding with county fire association. We come up and give them $20,000 and then created our own contract outside the fire association. So then you had a memorandum of understanding and kind of, and then you had a contract. And then you know, Butler said that they're still responding to calls, and of course, our county departments are responding to calls also.
Is this the calls maybe?
Yeah. You just do it.
We've run 7 calls so far this year.
This year?
19.
Oh, is that right?
So there were 11 calls in 2018.
And then there's 16.
And we're halfway through, we're almost into May, and they've already run 7, so you're probably looking at not running.
What's their, I mean, is it just their actual report?
It's the reports, I don't see the MOU or anything.
Does it have anything about dispatch time, arrival on scene time, how long they were there?
Yeah.
7 degrees out there now.
Especially 1201, which means they got canceled and around.
See, that's some of the things, they make it dispatched on the 13 calls.
That was false call 1 minute.
You're saying they may get dispatched, but that don't necessarily mean there's one thing went out.
Well, if they cancel, you know, if they go around and cancel.
Something happened.
I mean, if it's a false call or something like that, it's
Yeah.
a whole other story. You know, if they're saying, well,
I
we
mean,
got,
for our people, give us a no responsible period on it.
that's what I,
They're just not answering
and I
calls.
got that
Oh,
on
right.
both sides. There wasn't anybody available to go, Anthony still.
A lot of times, handling people.
There was a lot of
Okay,
cases.
so this was dispatched at 12:14, arrival 13:05, cleared at 13:12.
You know, they, 12 minutes just to go in and out, on 34 minutes to get on scene.
Yeah.
When the house was burnt, if it's a fire, the house is burnt to the ground.
So you can get to the call to the scene.
And then,
You're like,
and that says arrival 13:05, cleared at 13:12, and they were,
There for 7 minutes.
so.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hey, Charlie, can I see those?
Useful.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey,
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie, can I see those? The pictures? I see them.
Dispatch 17:23, cleared 17:24. Time there's NBA going, 2. Okay, there's your reports. So, well, everybody likes the 5, and then what are we cutting that 5,000 into 2,500 for the grant? Is that what we're saying? Is that what?
That's what it costs to give them, they only got $2,500 for their grant.
Oh, okay, okay.
The rest of it
I'd
was
say just-
5,000.
Yeah.
Did you change it up here?
You didn't have, then change them to copy.
I don't think we can actually change it.
I think he's gonna make a.
Yeah, we say,
Yeah.
yeah.
We can't.
I'm not understanding.
Correct. You guys want me to put 5,000 there?
5,000? That changed, didn't it? Yep. Go back. This next one's interesting too, so, fire department there.
The only question I have with this one is the city lowering their portion of the cost, if not,
I don't know
shelter
why.
tax the city residents.
I don't believe they're up there.
Like, the only way it makes sense to help the city residents is if you lower the city portion by the amount the county's going to increase, otherwise you're double taxing.
That's true, but that's not our call, that's why we have city council.
Yeah, but that's what
Well, it's my understanding that city council was not really in favor of Mr. Treadway's proposal on this either, that it was not a majority of the city.
I don't know about
Well,
that.
that's what I heard, anyway.
When I spoke to several of them, they were not your all's call, it's our call, if we want to decrease that or.
Yeah, well, I understand that, we're not trying to set their.
Yeah, I was just trying
No, I-
to make
I
everyone
mentioned
aware,
it
that don't
too.
increase it on their side, they're just hurting.
Well, I mean, they are paying county taxes too, for their
But
fire.
they had the option of,
Or,
they say they pay county tax, they have the option to move in the city. I don't know that that's in, but you have mutual agreements between the fire departments. There was no war or feud or billing of anything when the plants come on fire, when you emptied out your total volunteer fire service, and the fire departments know that. That 59,000, where does it stop? The only, well, the law says that you provide them with funds from your building of education, and that's the end of it. If you do this, you're open Pandora's box.
well,
That means any agency in the city can come in and build a county.
Yeah, my concern is, and I agree, I get it, but you are making the decision to live in the city to have those additional city services. There is a difference, and of course, I'm fourth district. I have city residents that live in my district too. My concern is you start doing this, okay, is what streets and sewers going to be next? Are they going to be asking for money because they don't get monies to do, from the county too? I agree with Brad Johnson. You're opening a Pandora's box. Get you passed out.
and I read the paper.
Like the city had, you have those MOUs in place. I've been told on a couple of occasions where Hampton, some of the other volunteer fire departments have to come down to the city to help answer calls if they get inundated, or if they request, or, funerals, special occasions, and things like that.
I had a problem with, I read their article about their budget the other day, and that they were considering not coming with the same amount of funding for the animal shelter, that they wanted to lower it, is what I heard. I would certainly not be willing to give them anything here if it would take it away from
No, I think they're at 125 on animal shelter, I think.
and staying there, because from what I read, it looked like that they were, they were considering lower.
We've been given indication, definitely 100, they're actually in, but we don't know yet.
Okay.
I've been asked about our budget, and so we're in the process.
Yeah. At 59, that's,
I think that's high, but I think that.
How do they arrive at that number? There's what, 3 city fire departments?
I think that's what we're.
How many stations are there, Rusty? 3 or 4? 3. Because I know one's right across from my house. I think Station 2, one's on G Street.
Oh, yeah, to go on.
Yeah. And so I know that one's there, and so that breaks down to what, about 20 grand for each one.
They got one at the golf course and all that.
And the one by City Hall.
Yeah, then the one about
Which one's number 2?
Did you say they were looking at?
G Street's number 2.
No.
That was a horse.
They had an idea to do some equipment, didn't they? What about their idea? Their funding for that or something.
Can I say something?
Sir?
They're not expecting any, because I kind of, I don't know, I take it on to do that, I kind of, let them know they're not expecting any money. They kind of figured that, that wasn't going to happen. I didn't tell them for sure, I said,
Yeah.
I said, I don't think they should, and I work there, but,
I mean, I live in the city, and I don't see a necessity for it either.
They got a good budget, they got like 2.5 in traffic on it.
What's that?
Their budget like 2.5.
Something like that.
Because essentially in the city, it's what, about one fire station for every 5,000 people? And is it the same as the county, roughly?
One long tire. That's the difference.
I'm sure I'm trying to fight for the city, just when I do, when I start getting calls about it.
Get you working then.
I've got some of those same people, I pay city taxes as well.
Kelly, he already left.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying, I never get quoted on that when I do try to fight for it.
Oh, yeah. Where's John? John, write that down.
Kelly, the video will be online.
They were amiable.
No, like I said, I can't see it. That's why
I can't sit here and match that,
I can't,
Well-
I can't see giving any.
I go with Brad, what Brad said. I mean, it's a Pandora's box because we do it for one.
Yeah, it's going to Nora.
They're gonna, I mean, others that'll be not gonna do it. And, I mean, as long as we're maintaining within what the state law requires,
Well, and I tell you, back here on volunteer fire center, you know, this year, we're increasing the budget by $5,000 for, you know, dollars apartments. You know, this makes the 4th year in a row that they've come and told us, listen, volunteer firefighter requirements are going up, volunteers are going down, eventually we're going to have to do something. You risk taking a swap at your volunteer fire departments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, certainly.
Keep in mind, we're giving a whole different county $5,000 though.
I'm good with that.
Again, and I'm sorry you won't hear the catch that.
That's pretty good to consider.
We've got 2 more city departments, and I'm pretty sure they're really using money.
Well,
Not the city. No, and if in the future, if the city, you know, like we've done with the fire trucks for the volunteer fire departments, apparently we've done for the fire truck for the city or something, or some mutual aid apparatus, I have no issues saying, okay, you know, let's give them more money to help for a specific need, but I just can't see starting, you know, here city, on top of your taxes that, you know, that you pay, let's just make everybody in the county city,
without getting all the city benefits.
Well, it's all we discussed too about maybe city and commission coming together and sitting down and talking about this with the finance people and everybody and maybe just talking it out instead of just throwing $60,000 at us and say, here, put that in your budget right away. Without any kind of discussion or any kind of ideas going either way.
And I'll mention the dirty word that's been brought up in the past as well is the consolidation between the volunteer fire departments and the other EMA agent, or the other EMA groups.
Yeah.
So,
I can't comment on that. That's not, I haven't heard that, that's not gonna happen either.
yeah, I understand, but it's
I like to say one thing, if I could. I know Butler Town, we need Butler.
Yeah.
If we need, in my opinion, we need a contract with them. And maybe give them some incentive, it's just my opinion. 5,000, I don't know if they'll run or not, I mean, you know, they may not even want to do it now, but.
Oh, I thought they have a truck tax, so they'll do it for us.
What's that?
They'll get 7,500 because you're doing 25.
25, yeah. Well, okay, they need to run, I mean, we have to have them. If we do that resort, we gotta have them. And I thought we just give them the right to sign a contract, that if they don't run, you know, if they miss so many calls, we can, is that feasible? Take away from it, or
play the pay.
I mean, I think we need to be in an MOU, some type of contract, certainly to bind us that we don't fund that.
We're showing, we were in a contract with them whenever we give them the money, because that's part of our structure. That's a part of our structure, we're to give them funds, we have a contract or an MOU or something with them.
We
You
get
know, and I know that we didn't fund them last year and they were on calls, but I think you have the prior year before those calls too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how many of those were not responded to, you know, canceling around or not responded to, and that's my only concern. I don't think that we have the capabilities to manage, you know, did they go en route, did they actually get there, how long are they on scene? You know, if you want to start talking about this, I'd start bringing in the president of the Volunteer Fire Association and say, hey, this is what we got, what do you think? Do the contract, you know, with us, with them, and then put them in charge of the contract, something. Let them be the one to tell us, okay, they responded to this many calls, they responded this way.
You're talking about their person, I mean.
I'm talking about
ours.
our volunteer fire, our fire association, because, I mean, they're the ones that ultimately see they're the ones that see when they arrive on scene, they're the ones that get the reports, how many firefighters are there, who's arriving, who's not. I understand the issue, what he was saying with radios not being able to communicate with 911 call center here, but, that's a lot of canceled interactions, and that's a lot of time that has elapsed between the initial dispatch of the call to the completion of the call and then getting
That
to
one
the
was
scene.
45 minutes.
And I agree that whenever we do this other project and some more, we're gonna need some help in that way.
So maybe that needs to be reassessed when the
But, at this point, I'm not going to vote for another Hampton Fire Station number 3 and giving them the money.
That's what you said that night.
But that's just,
I think $5,000 would start. If they increase their cost, we can have some more leverage next year.
Well, we got 5,000 on the board, we're talking about city now. I would like to see us maybe help out in library, city park and rec or something, in one way. We can- that's what I'd rather see myself. Here we go, next.
Are we gonna put zero
Good call.
What's hard?
Good call. We got the fire rescue squad.
Firefighter grant stay and a rescue squad. Vocational rehab, is that again?
so the vocational rehab, I mean, what she explained was, basically they were asking for the increase in funding.
32% increase.
Control
Is this
Z,
the
control
grants that
Z.
they're working on?
That they were getting a federal grant position that they had to pay for.
There is around a little over $20,000 that was paid extra last year to pay towards whatever it is that they're approved to get this year.
Who was it? The lady I kept here all night.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
And they said the money was going for a new position that they had to pay for, that they were basically got a grant for and they had to pay for part of?
If I recall correctly, I think she said it was like the 25-75. It's like with the 25% we give them, that they would leverage 3 times that in the grant money.
That was that grant through the county.
Well,
Then they were not liable for the grant. It didn't go through the county at all. Maybe it did last year.
I just leave it,
Last year, they did like it is. Same as previous year.
okay, Shepherd's Inn, I think everybody's probably okay with that. That's no change.
I didn't believe this was last year, right?
Yeah, 27,800.
27.
Let's just do this.
That was a new one, wasn't it? Children's advocacy? or-
Yeah.
Well, no, we approved 5,000, that's right.
For you.
So for voc rehab, will actually only be funded 77,809 from the budget. That total.
Okay.
So they're going to take the 20,000 that they owe
Prepaid.
for and put it towards next year.
7,809, correct? Because we've already paid them, prepaid them for a year, I guess. Because we actually double paid them last year.
Okay.
He's already paid them.
Yep. Then we must, yeah, apparently. Isaiah House, certainly a great cause on that.
That money stays here in this county.
Yeah, that's-
Even though they're opening a district.
And you hear nothing but praise from folks in the social worker field now regarding Isaiah House.
I don't know if anybody's ever actually toured that house. I have. It's unbelievable what she's done in that house. It's great. It's great.
See the fire room? See the fire room?
Yep. She said leave the fire department, they never do that.
Okay, next.
I think those people use some more money.
Yeah, really.
ARM,
I'm all for ours.
What they get.
I would be up for, I mean, if we're gonna give her 17, I mean, Isaiah 5,000, I think that is very much.
And everybody knows where they're located at, right? Right behind that shopping center there near Elizabeth.
Behind Carter County Bank.
Yep, right up to there.
So we're moving that to 5,000, right?
I'll give them 5,000. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Cut. No, can't.
We better not do that.
Kids like us, we got some heavy hitters coming in this year.
Well,
Signed that contract.
I think that's very high when they got 5,000 last year, and then they come and ask for 50,000
Yeah.
more. That's just my opinion.
Kids like us.
I think
I
5,000.
had questions about theirs because they were like paying $30,000 in rent, mortgage, whatever you want to call it, lease payments for their building. That's a lot.
They're doing it as a lease purchase.
I mean, oh, okay, so it's
Yeah.
over how many years, 10 or 15?
I can't remember, but I know like at the end of the term, it's like they give them $1 and it's theirs, or something like that.
So we're looking at bringing it back into the old one, the 5,000 last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they've got a good program, they do a whole lot of stuff, but I just had a question.
Yeah.
75% increase there.
And I didn't think they showed up.
No,
Yeah, they didn't show up and pitch.
the honor guard, they're asking the same amount from the city as well.
I'm all for that. Those men.
I'd just like to know what kind of budget they have actually. I mean, really what?
Well, let me tell you, they got gas, they got uniforms, they got laundry, dry cleaning, you name it.
Well, how much that cost, Ronnie?
Well,
I mean, that's,
it costs a whole lot.
I know it does, but I'd just like to see.
If you
kind
know
of
how many funerals they have.
I know, I'm not against it at all. And I've been to funerals and it's
I think
great
they're
to see.
looking for 10,000 total. I think they're looking for half from us and half from the city.
Look at what?
Half from us and half from the city, basically. They want 10,000.
Because they already broke down their budget, which was a total of 10,000.
And Jarfly said they'd be happy to get anything at all.
Yeah.
Me and Brad off first.
I mean, I know everybody's for it. I don't want to have any doubt.
I will touch base on, they need to get this in some kind of business account.
That's
Yes.
what I'm curious.
Because it's in a private account, and this fellow wants to pass away, then it's
Now,
all
I can have them to get you a budget if that's what you want.
Well, I would, my say this giving is that are they organized as a 501 in whatever version it is? Are they organized as a 501? Do they have a business account and stuff like that?
And I'm always saying, not based off of what we got, Brad and I just got a bunch of handwritten.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see because if that's the way their finances are managed, who's going to be managing it going forward? Who's going to make sure it's not going into wrong accounts? Now, I'm not saying it would, but there's no guidelines or any checks and balances on that would be normal in a 501c3.
I think they definitely need to set up something.
Even if it's just a 50, it doesn't have to be the 3. It's just
Right.
as long as it's a 501.
If you can
Yeah.
work on that.
I'm definitely for support.
Shepherd's
We just
Inn
gotta make
lost
sure
their
that-
state certification for not filing their report.
Well, that's not, you don't just do that overnight.
When this budget's over with.
Now, the Hunting Fish Association has one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is possible to set up, you just set it up in Tennessee, you don't worry about the IRS overall. You just get recognized in Tennessee because they're not gonna be going outside the state lines or doing anything like that, so.
I think we all agree everybody's for them. Let's put them at the 5 right now.
I mean, and if they're doing it actually if they're actually doing it under the Legion Hall and stuff like that, then that's the account that the stuff needs to be going.
They are meeting at the American Legion.
Meeting at the Legion Hall and being.
They have their meetings there.
Yeah, being inside the Legion Hall is completely different.
I have a question, and Brad, hey Brad, so as far as this goes, until they set up some kind of account, do you think it'd be okay if we leave it here and they can only request it when needed? That way we don't have.
I think they
Kind of turn in receipts and you kind of.
Yes.
They asked to do that when he was here, that we would keep the money and pay the.
What's the second we put it like the mayor's budget?
We can just keep it in its own account, and then we can just, as they bring in receipts or things they need to reimburse, we can reimburse them based off of that.
Don't the volunteer fire departments use that process already, so
Fire
it's,
departments are very much like that, and that's a better process. I would feel more comfortable with that than just giving them.
Turn it over to them.
If someone passed away, and it's in their personal bank account, that's gonna go through their personal probate and everything else, and then it's just a mess.
So, but we'll still leave it right here.
So just leave it at 5,000 or 2,000.
10,000.
I think we do 10 until we find what the city's doing.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with
Hey,
10.
I think they're waiting on us to make the move to see what we're gonna do.
Let's make it 750.
7,500.
I think the city is 85,000.
Well, the good way is if you do it that way regardless. Right, I mean, if you're coming to us, giving us.
2,500, I mean, either way, it's not gonna be, it ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Hey, Rob,
Hey,
let me say something.
yes, sir.
Don't you think you better, you gave more than $10,000? Think about it, give them 10,000, I'm for it. Don't give it.
I'd be all for giving them the full 10 if they were already a 501c, if they already had all that other stuff lined up to where it's not going into somebody's personal account.
Yeah.
And if they were looking for 10,000 total and the city's giving them 5, and they come to both of us for 10, they're coming out ahead anyway.
If we give them the 10, but do, Michael says set the account up and do the reimbursement, can we not do that with, if we do the 10?
Put the 10 down, just let's go.
10.
Make everybody happy.
Because I mean,
It's a good point, Mark, and nobody's taking anything away from our
I
guys.
love our veterans. I mean,
If
we just want to get all the money out of sports.
Yeah.
I've been approached by veterans saying that the same thing about, are they lined up to be, I know they're doing it with their own time, but have they taken the time on the side to get everything lined up?
but if the finance department's oversighting the account, I don't see any problem with $10,000.
And even then, they may not spend 10,000, they'll bring it up.
It'd just be a budget number, I mean, really, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
fine.
it's definitely conservative.
Okey dokey. And what happened with Red Cross?
Couldn't find anybody.
They haven't come for the last 2 or 3 years. After they moved out of Elizabeth's location, they just, no one's ever came. And we even tried to send them money one year, we never kept getting returned.
We don't even have a district director for them in Johnson City anymore. They pulled that position in Knoxville and one, I think, towards
We
Roanoke.
could not search for who to send the money just from.
So we had money to give to somebody and couldn't find
We
them?
could've-
That never happened.
That never happens.
Put that in my account. Here we go, next one. Then we'll just leave that one. That was, I mean, that's Jason Cody for
Yeah, the first Tennessee Human Resource.
Yeah, they're flat.
Retired Senior Volunteer Program, RSVP.
They're just asking for 900.
Additional.
Yes.
Look, we could look at more dollars and give people $1,000.
Yeah.
They did the same as last year.
They had how many? They served how many, was it, 500?
I can't remember. You got any of that stuff, Michael?
I don't have all, that would be in the office, all of it.
Yeah, I think it's like 568 total for the year.
We just leave that where it's at, and we can kind of, maybe we can.
No, and I think they do a lot of good too.
Yeah, $900.
They're dropping.
Yeah.
We're down to senior citizens, so
Where are
I'll
we?
tell you all, they
I was trying to
serve
freeze the paint.
more county residents than they do city, because I've been checking,
Who's this?
the senior citizens. They go out and pick up more from the county than they do from city, and they serve more meals to the county residents than the city, because I went down there to check.
Sweet.
So that's one reason why they're asking for more.
I'm leaving Valley 3.
So we're gonna give them 23?
Yeah, that's
That's
what
an
we're
increase
talking
of
about.
9,000?
We're giving them 9 more thousand, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be 23 total.
We're gonna increase it 9,000?
How significant was the difference?
Could go to 20.
Big, at least 50%?
I don't know if it's 50%, but it was a big, I'm thinking it was 60-40, but I'll be quoted on that.
No, it was 70-30.
It was,
Let's get up, how about 20,000? I mean, that,
6,000.
that, we've,
Yeah, I know that. I like round numbers.
that's why I thought about that one there. Just throw up numbers and shoot at it. Here we go. Yeah, this is a tough one.
All right. So I still what we need is more. They do a lot of work. They really do a good service to the city and the county residents. I'd like to see at least get 70.
Well, and, I mean, they're looking at positions also for salaries, I think a lot of this money was for, wasn't it?
$4,400 increase.
My kids love the library, I can't argue with it.
Go ahead.
And we can probably make an average comes the next year, should be nicer to us.
Yeah.
Well,
She can prove that she serves more county residents than she is city.
well, and I believe if, with more funding, that she can do more, I have no doubt.
If you give her $1, I think she gets $10 goes back.
Last year, we regularly increased our funding, correct?
$5,000.
I mean, I know it wasn't much, but last year we regularly increased our funds. You know, I think last year, well, the whole group told her we'd love to give her, you know, her asking price.
Yeah.
We couldn't at the time. So
Right.
I'm for giving them some more money. They
The
provide
city gives them around 400,000.
numerous amounts of services, and we, you know, we've been funding the program. There's several places where we haven't been funding places properly.
The city, well, I was thinking of that plus ours, but I knew it was about triple, whatever.
We do it for matching every year, so that's something double it. 75,000, is that?
Well, I mean, that's something we consider 75 and 25 more next year, you know. I'd like to give it all to 100, but it's 75, so, and I think anything, like she said, if you give us anything more, we'd be happy for it. I like that number for the park and rec, I mean,
That's for the city. Yeah, it should be double, really.
well, I mean, with the projects and stuff, I mean, that's really a drop in the bucket, what we do fund that. Also, but now that our county park and rec is, what's that?
That's what I'm saying, it's okay.
You know, you give,
$121,000, I believe, county park.
Well, see, here's my issue with county parks.
well, I mean, they're asking for like 160, I think.
They do an absolute fantastic job, considering that they do it of their own goodwill and with the amount of money that we've been able to give them thus far.
Yeah.
But there comes a point in time where we are going to have to sit and say, okay, you all are wanting to do more parks, there's nothing wrong with it. How are we going to keep it?
Yeah,
How are we going
right.
to keep it? How are we going to maintain it?
Volunteer labor and stuff like that.
Right now, we've been really lucky at Royal Mountain Farm, things of that nature, that have had large amounts of volunteers and still do have volunteers that want to go and help take care of them. You know, the more parks we add, the less volunteers we got to spread around. So eventually, that's going to become a situation.
They really want to do, that's on for Randall sometimes, they really want to push that. We got free park, or the softball field, golf cart, playground.
Well, you've got Gap Creek, you've got Happy Valley, you've got,
I think Happy Valley's kind of fell off now. I think it
Well, that was as far as the contract, that was.
And the county attorney advised us not to sign that lease on the property for the Happy Valley.
Yeah.
Yes, and Josh looked at it and said we'd be stupid to sign it.
Which one?
The lease agreement for the T-Dot property for the
Oh,
Happy
yeah.
Valley Park.
Yeah.
but again, it goes back to, you know,
They do
the
good.
money that county park and rec are asking for, you know, how much of that goes to the park to fix the park, how much is going to the other
Your
stuff.
kids play.
I think we need to take care of the funding of the county park. Son, to get them
Curious five.
we can force that park. I mean, they need some, I'd like to see them build a softball league.
4-year-old, 3-year-old. And that's a big thing, is I've got several people beating me up over softball fields and stuff like that. They're pretty stoked about the possibility of just getting it.
And I think whatever we fund the city program, we need to fund like the county that same amount.
Okay, and on this one too, we give them a little bit more to 25. This may bring them a little closer to the table as far as Gap Creek Park, because I don't think that they're 100% sold on that just yet.
And we need them to maintain it if we get a baseball field or a softball field.
And then, like I said, it goes back to the maintaining. You know, we start pushing. I have no issue with city parks and rec. They do a fantastic job, like everybody else does. It's just, if I have issues when it comes to county parks and rec and taking care of.
Yes, right. Well, I mean, if you look at the city park and rec, that's an investment to this whole county. I mean, it's not like it's just going to be a city funded thing. I mean, it doesn't come to the covered bridge. You've got, I don't know how many parks they got, but all new equipment, about every one of them. I mean, they're upgrading all the time, so, yeah.
Yeah, Harvard Park, Harvard Park's good.
County's reconditioning. benefits.
Yeah, I mean, right, that's what I'm saying, and that's $12,000, it's not a lot of money to be
Not
given
because some
them.
of those playground equipments are under 50,000.
Oh, sure.
I'm good with 25.
I'm okay with leaving that there.
I am too.
The city park shop.
Yep.
Game's over, but a new game, then they'll be from Kentucky.
Boys and Girls Club, I think they do a fantastic
I
job.
believe that too.
I'm okay with that number, but we can discuss.
I don't have any discussion on that.
Dr. Acuff, you got anything down on that? I know you sit on their board. I know that it's,
They're expanding their capabilities. We're working with some of the schools in Stony Creek, Unaka Elementary, to try to include them. And they're looking at satellite operations so that they can extend their reach. But they do a fantastic job. They've got lots of kids that they move through there. They're serving meals as well. We'll probably add on, some of us on board are already doing Tennessee Promise or Tennessee Cheese. We're probably going to open that up because the kids that I've been working with in that program, all are at Elizabeth High School. I get anybody from Unaka. But out of the 7 I have, 3 of them don't have computers at home, so they don't have any way to fill out the FAFSA, they don't have any way to become engaged. So I think you're going to see them expand their role. They do a great service. They're just trying to get more kids through the doors.
They pick up at all the schools, but they pick up at most of the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, they've got buses, their own
Yeah, it's
equipment,
probably
don't
with
they?
writing, but
Yeah.
less than hearts.
Imagine their library, leave it where it's at.
Yeah, next. Soil conservation, they're asking the 10,000 increase or the 11 for that employee that they're trying to get us to fund the third. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I know they do a good job and certainly help their office, so I'm for that. Yeah, can we knock that down to 500 or?
No,
I'm kidding.
down there.
No, I'm just joking. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's oh boy. Here we go. Let's move on to the 40K right there.
Throw it out the door, throw it out the bus.
I don't want to step away from that completely. I know that's a pretty good chunk of change we're giving them. Dr. Acuff and I, we had this discussion out there. I think what we have to sell and what we have to offer is our tourism aspect of this county. And I think they do a good job with Kayla and Carter promoting that and using our resources to pretty much be the catalyst of that funding right there. The 40,000,
They turned the city, I
don't think the city gives that 40, do they?
don't know how much they get.
I don't know how much is it.
I think they told them they didn't need it.
Really?
I know I talked to John about it. John said that it'd be bad for us to step away from it.
Well, I know that. I don't want to, that's why I wouldn't want to just completely cut them off.
As we're saying, that their goal is regional.
Yeah.
And they advised us that their goal was regional.
Well, and it's long term too. I mean, we're not.
My issue is I do wish that they, and if it's just a lack of us not knowing or not participating because of issues we had in the past or something of that nature, I hope and would love to see them do, come to more meetings, more documentation, more involvement. That's the only way that I feel good supporting. I kind of feel like you do, I don't necessarily know about $40,000.
Yeah.
Until we see that involvement. I like to be involved in stuff, try to plan.
Who's responsible for being in contact with them and getting representation here? I mean,
I guess.
for $40,000, I would think somebody would show up and
I go to the
tell us
meetings,
something.
but I go to the meetings when they have like, I guess quarterly or whatever. I've been to several of them, but, I was accused of not bringing literature back, but they've not really,
They don't really give you.
they've not given us anything. They use our tourism.
She was Walmart there for a while.
I expect more out of it.
And in the conversation I had with Mr. Miller to try to get information to put in your all's packets, He told me he was unaware that he was supposed to turn that information over to us, that he'd been giving it to a member of the commission and thought the commissioner was passing it out. And he told the commissioner, he told the commissioner that he was giving the information to our office and that we were supposed to pass it out. So there's,
Miscommunication.
I wouldn't necessarily use the word miscommunication since he's telling two different stories.
Who was he?
He said he was giving the information to Mike Hill because Mike Hill had been working with him on some projects in Roan Mountain, and that Mike was supposed to be handing it out to the commission, and he told Mike Hill that he was giving it to the mayor's office to be handed out.
Yeah, I was there for that one.
One of the last meetings that we had that they attended, they come to and they attended, and they were talking about what they were able to do in Washington County, something, you remember?
I'm sorry, I was doing
They were at one of the last meetings we had, they come, they talked about what they were doing with the pads that they were able to build, or help build
Right.
in Washington County. And they explained to us, because I think at that point we were talking to them about Alcoa and the site for Heritage Wastewater. And so what they told us is they said, oh, well, you know, these numbers that you all have thrown out, for the environmental study and some of this other stuff, well, we could help, if you would have just let us know, we could help you do it.
Just let us know.
Yeah, we can help you do stuff like what we do here. And then, like I said, they're regional, you know,
Right.
it's a regional. And I get that. I think it's good for us to have a foot with them to help promote us regional. But I do think that, you know, that's where it comes into, okay, city, county, Johnson County employees promote us, and the things that we
It's kind of what Washington County's doing, but they're redoing all their regional development, they're changing their schemes, they're doing all that. It's pretty eye-catching too.
I mean, you know, that's a piece, is you have to have that regional outlook, and then you've also got to have your local outlook, which I think we're trying to head in the right direction.
It's good if I send a message.
I think that might send too strong of a message.
I don't, because Unicoi County is apparently having the same discussion we are
Are
about
they?
possibly pulling out.
Well,
What are we looking at, maybe, half, 20? Say, we need,
And then tell them if they can give
I mean,
progress.
Tell me sensibly, what?
I almost agree with
what have
Brad,
they
because
done
they
in
don't
this
really
county?
show up, or, I mean, this is new to me, but just from what everybody said, it's a consensus, they're not really
well,
showing
I think
anything.
they probably have a brochure that has Roan Mountain on
Gee,
there.
that's our room.
I don't know, but it's still Roan Mountain, it's still ours, so I hate to.
But you got one
Well,
man
think
and
about
two
their,
hats.
think about their Meet the Mountains Festival they hold in downtown Johnson City, that they don't promote the mountains in Carter or Unicoi counties with. A Carter County group had to get together and put together events that same day to convince people to come from Johnson City to Carter County.
I mean, I think you're seeing more of your local groups putting and advertising for us more than you're seeing any type of a regional group advertising for us. I just, you know.
You look, get his attention, I guarantee you, you subtract that 40,000, you know, you got this turned around. If we don't go hunt them, we're paying them to give us a service.
Yeah.
Now, okay, well, yeah, tell me what have we done? You can't tell me one thing, so.
I mean, I'm not saying they're crazy either. I saw, they're trying to get, who is it, ALO or somebody down there in Washington County, and they're picturing Johnson City Press, who's right in the background, Mitch Miller, you know. Have you seen him? The Snap-on deal, was he there, had anything to do with it? No.
No?
So,
Well, if y'all want to, I'll name my own company, and you all pay me that 40,000, I guarantee you, I won't do a dang thing just like them. You know, I'll get a consensus.
How many times, how long have we paid them?
2 years.
3 years, 120,000, what have you got?
This will be our third year with
This will be
you?
our third year.
But we've only paid them for 2 years.
Okay.
If this is gonna be our third year, it only has to be two per hour.
I mean, what do you think, 25, and kind of just work on that number for right now? I mean, that's nothing set. I don't think.
I say zero.
And tell them if they want to get the money back, come back and earn it. Tell them if they want the money to come back and give a presentation and earn it.
I say zero.
Yeah, I mean, they're arrogant. They won't even come to the budget. How many times have you seen them before the budget? They didn't come to last year. Didn't even show a face, didn't send a letter, didn't send a
Well,
report.
I mean, that's true, they weren't here for
You have
this
small
presentation.
groups coming in here and doing these
That's
huge
right.
presentations for $5,000. And here we are giving $40,000 to somebody nobody even knows.
With no budget.
Well, the
Yeah.
comment was, if they wanted us to, they'll call us and ask us to come over. look, I'm not your taskmaster. You know, you want it, you need to show.
You'd think you'd have a little enough responsibility to say, hey, it's budget time here. They said something
They
into
were
it.
buying in the letter sent out to them.
Well,
Like I said, 10,000's into the appropriate message.
I think zero's gonna be appropriate.
Zero seems the best message, but I don't think we can argue it down to zero.
My question was, the initial, whenever we voted to them in, I was gone. So I didn't.
You were gone?
I didn't get the full presentation, I was gone. I didn't get the full presentation. I didn't know we joined with them until later. Did we sign a contract with them initially? Did they have
I
something?
think it's just a year-to-year deal.
Well, I know it's a year.
I don't know about that.
There was no contract. It was a verbal agreement between the Price and him.
That's a little harsh.
That's exact.
I agree.
Actually, the city started out
I
at
mean,
80,000.
If you want to,
The city started out at 80,000.
80,000.
That's what they were wanting.
80,000.
When we started the initial contact and talk, and the commission decided to give them $40,000. So the only thing we received from it so far is love.
you want to give them.
I didn't get them up.
That's a person I would
You
have.
have to get a meeting.
I would agree.
You have to come to a meeting.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to come to a meeting, y'all said.
I'll be honest, I kind of agree, I kind of agree with Patty here, I'd rather take the $40,000 and spend it on let's see, what was it, we got the grant for the signage, then the big, huge study, they come up with different signages and stuff like that, I'd rather spend $40,000 on signage in Carter County.
Milligan would love to design
there's-
for us too.
We've got a way of finding grant, the works that will take a match, but it's not $40,000.
Well, it's still $40,000.
$40,000.
There it went.
I tell you what.
My opinion is if you keep doing the same thing, you keep doing the same thing.
But the flip side of this is who's doing more for us? Carter County Parks and Rec or NetRep?
Right.
Who's doing more city parks or NetRep? Who's doing more the people at Roan Mountain that are holding, 40-some festivals a year and Sycamore Shoals? I mean, they're buying their own stuff.
And that's even in ways that they can help us and promote us. Maybe it's not 200 jobs, but it's putting Sycamore Shoals in the limelight
You're
or
getting
Roan
more
Mountain.
promotion from your local talent and your local entities in this county than I think you're getting from what we're paying the $40,000 for.
And more economic development from our county planning department than NetRep's done in 2 years.
And part three of that is maybe changing some of the other things that we've got going on here and having people that have nice pieces of property, helping them somehow develop it to where instead of having one big hotel or two big hotels, we have, and you avoid the whole tourist trap thing by having, tiny homes for people to come and stay in, like they did up at Beat Cliff or something like that. They have cabins and stuff like that, like they have at Roan Mountain and different places. Like those cabins at Roan Mountain, they are full 365 days a year. You have to book a year in advance. Hope to God that you called and beat out the person that was there last year.
It's like that for a campsite.
Like I was going to say the same thing with campgrounds.
The hotel motel tax is turned over to the Chamber of Tourism. That's over $100,000.
Yes, I saw that report the other day. I don't have it with me, but I think it might have been 120 or something like that.
To cover both sides, we still got 2 meetings.
Yeah. This is the final product of it. I think we can all
If we want to
agree
take
on
a
that.
snapshot of this and say, hey, until you come to the meeting or unless you bring us some good documentation or some good reasons as to why, this is what you get. And if they don't come, then there you are. And if they do come, then maybe they can bring some good information.
So where's John?
That'd be my suggestion.
So according to this, we're only $5,800, $1,500 difference.
From last year, yes. So from last
That
year.
just increased.
That's-
It was over $1 million, wasn't it?
So it went from, last year we approved $1,094,000, as you can see, we're only going up 5,000, so it's not bad.
And that's with more service, adding a couple of things.
And that's 2 new agencies getting funded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How much do we look at in Carter County Parks and Rec? That's probably.
Last year?
No, on here.
No, that's 25 to the city, the county park and rec is in the general
How
fund.
much do we
Okay, and it's like 161, I think. Something, Brad, that's right.
County Parks and Rec, they're the other agency.
No, they would be.
Because they never had a number for us when Ken was here that day, I don't think. I don't remember any number, but I think that's what.
That total sheet.
Well, they'd like 65,000 for a tractor.
They want a tractor, I know, they got specific, amount for,
Sheet.
New board equipment.
They wanted the.
They wanted, well, he did, I know he wanted 25 or something for a tractor that they could use, and that could be used throughout the county. I mean, it would become county equipment, which would be okay, you know.
The only, giving it to that agency, I would always.
So they were going to use it for Rome Mountains.
Yeah.
Community park.
And then one thing I would say about it though is we need to make sure that that kind of stays controlled
Yeah.
because we can't let it be used on somebody's personal property.
Yeah, right.
And if it's not being, do what? Yeah.
Mayor?
I feel bad about the Red Cross. I've seen the Red Cross for years, 41 years fire service. They've come out on a lot of house fires and stuff. They put these people up in motels and stuff.
And they still do, but.
But they're not, they might give them money.
Yeah, we every time we try to send them money, it keeps getting sent back. Like we don't have.
Nobody's claiming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't have an address. Once they moved out of Elizabeth, then the next year we sent them a check and it returned back. So we called Johnson City, couldn't get hold of anyone there. Tried to call Knoxville, we just.
Did they even submit a request this year?
What?
Did they even submit a request?
No, they
this year?
didn't submit a request to share it.
Okay, I didn't notice it. Let's go.
We would like to give them money out apparently.
This is part of it.
Okay, Parks and Rec.
I remember like.
So what we gave them last year, what? Well, of course, we ended up giving about 70 grand total, I mean, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it'd go to 4.
Because we,
I mean, as far as
the different projects, and the different things, you know, this is your project, this is a project that we're going to do, this is a project we're going to do it.
This is where we're starting. I'm trying to think actual.
171. The 161 and 570 is what you're asking for, really.
Yeah, this is a great question, 161,000. Well, we only gave them, I think it was, what was it, 25,000 last year, because they got other monies that came in after the fact for property that we bought and other things.
Well, that makes sense.
So the actual, like the 82 is what we kind of funded them throughout the year.
Yeah, but we only budgeted them 25,000.
Yeah.
That includes the extra money you all approved to purchase that park on Gat Creek.
And then engineering, so we give them 25,000 for that, didn't we?
Yeah.
I still think we're sitting about 25,000 right now from that last meeting. I think they're at, I'll be right at 45. Because they said they had about 20 left they could actually spend.
You paid 40,000 for the property.
I know that they were talking about buying tractors. But, you know, if you do that, honestly, I'd much rather see that go through like the mayor's building and grounds budget to maintain, to do whatever. You know, if they need them, they come.
Well, it's given that responsibility to the mayor's office and not just parking around guys just taking.
I mean, they keep saying, I mean, that's their big thing, is we're not a department, we're not a department, we're not a department, we're just a group. You know, I just, that word, eventually, I've said this for years, eventually, we're gonna have to look at, are we gonna have a county park and rec department? Where's it gonna go? And that's gonna be more money.
It's either pay Uber.
I'm also surprised they keep Carter County Beautiful didn't request any funds.
Well, we're kind of like, I mean, I'm on that board, and of course do a lot of stuff with them, but we really don't, and we're not 501c or anything, so we had no way to really take in money. It was taught before to kind of keep it in the mayor's budget, and just kind of earmark it or whatever, and we just kind of told her we couldn't do that. But need to find some way, because we're getting a lot of press, doing a lot of stuff, that probably some donations and some money coming into that organization, and we do operate, we got a couple, some of those grants that could be a part of, and I'd like to see some way that we do have a line that we can fund that through the county.
Well, I had an opportunity to work with them this past Saturday. We had a very impressive cleanup of T-Berry Road. More impressive than it's ever been seen. I've never in my life seen so much garbage and trash. But it was a collaborative effort, and we hauled out 3 40-ton roll-off dumpsters out of there. And it's immaculate right now. And everybody's, up to this point, there's been no trash dumped up through there.
Everybody needs to read the letter. that-
Yeah, I looked over, I need to read it word for word, but kind of crazy it seemed like.
Well, is it completely crazy?
No, I mean, just, no, what he's saying.
I'm like,
Yeah,
are they crazy or are they being,
yeah, right, no, that's what I mean, it was crazy to what I was reading,
Yeah.
not the guy, the author there that wrote it.
Well, the road's clean, so whatever the community wants to decide to do at that point, I guess will be handled at the highway committee meeting when it meets this week. I
That
think.
part in your report is private property. You know, if the highway department done ditching dirt in there, it was to cover some of them animals at that time.
Yeah,
I mean, they was horses in there.
yeah.
We were trying to cover them up. I know there's a few cans and bottles, you know, come out of that dirt, but, you know, cover them up. Refused, all that is.
It's clean now.
I hope it stays that way. I know highway, we've done it before. I think there's no
Well,
way.
everybody just knew there would be at least another bag of trash thrown the next day, but so far, Mike Hill's been up there and the constables, and now I'll have THP going across through there. Just to let people know that it's being watched. We haven't seen any trash yet. It's 2 days.
Yeah, well, and, you know, the guy that got arrested not long ago, and Judge Bowers gave him 160 hours of community service. I think people are going to start to realize that there are some repercussions. Yeah. And I mean, these fellas, those crazy ladies, whoever it was that chased them down, and filmed them, everybody saw that.
And out of that, there's 2 criminal summons issued also.
Yeah, so I mean.
Criminal littering. So right now, we have 3 situations that all resulted out of that one area. With the community effort, people watching, and, so it's a start.
And on behalf of the county, please don't chase it.
I advise
That's what, I mean, that's how it's scary for the citizens to be doing this, because the house part.
Yeah, but I mean,
Awesome.
like you're gonna pick it up.
She said, pick it up now.
Yes, she did. It's pretty brave. Would you give her that?
Judge Byers, when we was getting all these road signs broke off and tore down, the 4 that was caught, let me tell you right now, it slowed him down in a hurry.
Yeah.
Well, I talked with Judge Bowers, you know, on this issue of littering, and he's going to start. The 160 hours was a little extreme because the guy left 180 pounds of trash, but what he is going to do is that's going to be part of the sentencing.
Well, Judge Weaver used to do it all the
To take out
time.
trash. And it may be to the spot that they've dumped it. They'll have to go
They
back.
come to check the trash, make sure it didn't come from the other house.
Steve Carter County Beautiful, get some hours out of him, I know.
I don't worry.
I put in 160 hours myself.
Or you get in trouble, build a wall.
I hear about it all the time, can't do nothing about it. I saw Chad on the side of the road. What do you think?
So I have a good question, just for Brad's sake, can we get like a percentage that's across the board?
That was gonna be, I was gonna mention that, Travis mentioned it, where the school board come with 3%, and I think our number was really 2.5, for everybody. What was that? We're do 3, at least 3.
I'd like to see us do 3.
Because,
I mean, I think that, you know, one thing that we've always talked about with schools, is they come to us and they ask for money to transfer in. I mean, this year, granted, kind of been around, they did do 3% out of their budget.
Up your rear end.
I think this year, I think we were looking at doing 3% for our guys.
We've never heard of
I
it.
mean,
We might not get that lucky next year. If that happens.
Hope it don't change this year.
Well, that's what I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's so good, we'll tell about that.
I think that's a good number, if you want to start working these up to
That'd be
get them
another
closer.
budget you need to worry about.
3%?
How about your real numbers on the page? Give me a thing for that.
I'll have to meet with some of the officials anyway, because it wasn't really a set percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing. because that's gonna take out, I mean, 0 to 8%, that's gonna.
Yeah, right, it's
A
kind of
drastic,
even out probably.
uneven amount of funding that we'll be able to, better see a spread factored in at 3%.
We can't blame
Well,
them for asking 8%.
no,
That's
no.
wrong.
I think it's just one department asked for 8%.
But they need to be realistic.
I think it was planning department's on that for that.
Yeah, I know that they asked for a large percentage, I wasn't sure.
Well, now that, his was a little bit different, like he asked for some to get 8% and others to get like.
I guess the
2 or 3.
secretary did get like, yeah.
Well,
The rest of them got like 2, and I think his secretary got 7.5, I think.
I think he wanted to give 1% to that dog he's got working there too. No, it's okay, it's a good dog. And then, I mean, of course, we got general fund and these other ones, there's numbers we can cut out of there too, you know, so. What did we take percent, I can't remember from last year, and actually cut it off 10% of those budgets or something like that?
Requested,
They did, some did, some.
We never, because I couldn't remember if we got to that, or not, like just flat.
I'm gonna tell you, and that's the issue we ran into last year.
It's a cable issue.
So we come up at 10%, so we're still cutting it back to 5%. It's hard to do that for everybody's budget.
Yes.
You know.
Some people pay.
Yeah, I mean,
$7 million budget,
that's no different.
$7 million is a lot different than 2% of a million, or $5 million. So that's the only thing to be careful with there.
Yeah,
What's the thoughts on paying off the debt?
I think it's good.
Is that something we would budget in and take from debt service? I mean, you have to just suspend the rules and borrow from fund balance to pay it off, or would we do it as a budget amendment?
Something paying on debt.
I mean, we could make that as a budget amendment for this year, I guess, it would really, I mean, and I was going to ask you that, in fact, if you think that we could bring that to the budget meeting whenever we meet, 2 weeks.
Great idea.
I mean, is that okay? Not too much work to put on there?
I'll get an estimate of the,
Yeah.
If we pay it off now, then that'll really take down
Yeah.
payment
Might
out
help our debt service for sure, so.
And I think on there it mentioned it was 1.7% interest on it, is what it is right now. So that's a,
That was one thing that, because
Yeah, Brad, if you can.
Guys, question about Z, what kind of interest rate on the jail?
3.5, people said 3.1.
is it possible to refund?
3.29.
Could be refinance,
No refinance.
Is that through, who does that finance through? Is that financed through the state or
We're talking about the bonds or the loan.
the loan?
The loan is through the Public Building Authority. These were big several years ago. I'm not sure which county's Public Building Authority is through, but
okay, the money, you know, it's only talk about,
If we pay that off this month, then that'll readjust the debt service. Take that 160 or whatever out.
Open that up, Michael, if you can, kind of.
The debt service?
No, just that outside agencies right there. I'd just like to see a whole thing if you can. Yeah, well, yeah, just get all, most of it.
I can't do it all there.
No.
Just Kevin Casey.
You can just tell me what spot right now.
Nah, that's okay. I just want to see the whole thing.
I can do
Totally.
that, we just.
Yeah.
You'll get real small.
I can't even see that now, Mike.
Oh, come on.
You mean zoom out one more?
Yeah, just let me see the bottom. That's really what I'm after.
take part on this and invest in other things.
Well,
Sorry, we obviously went from 198 to 5,800.
we did some good work this evening.
We have done really well.
Think about it, the two of them were, you have 59,000, 40,000,
Yeah.
and two.
Let the work get out.
Well, and I mean, it's, like I say, this is not a finished product here, but it's, I think a step definitely in the right direction.
and that brings the deficit down to around $100,000.
And that's with the sporadic raises in there.
I mean, you're talking total.
The total.
That's great.
Great.
And that's with 8% raises in some people's budgets and stuff like that, right?
Once we clear that, get a percent across the board, I think, less.
That's what they go to work, I'm sorry, Brad.
We would expect the increase.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Well,
You already have that worksheet that says, you know, 1, 2, 1, 1.5, 2, 3 to look at, so just be updating those numbers, and that gives us a good estimate.
anything else? And then, I guess we'll, be in recess. Look at my calendar again, but, till Monday. Our budget hearing, right?
I saved like 3
Here.
times.
Save it!